Hey friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be doing TBR Jar chooses what I read for the week. Special guest. So one of the gifts that Tiara got me recently is this cute little TBR jar. Hope you guys can see it. And there's a lot, like hundreds of little paper prompts in here. So I'm going to be letting this decide what I'm reading for the week. All right, I'm excited. Let's find our first prompt. I always like to dig in a little bit, you know? It's more fun that way. Ready? Read a book with green on the cover. Okay, read a book with green on the cover. I can do that. As I'm sure you saw from my last clip, I chose The Kind Worth Saving by Peter Swanson. I was actually planning on hopefully reading this soon because I recently reread Kind Worth Killing. Let me go get that. The new cover of this matches this one, but I don't have that one, and I like paperback better anyway. But this is The Kind Worth Killing, which is like the first book in this series. It's not necessarily a series. It just follows similar characters, so you could definitely read this as a standalone, but it helps if you have read this one first. So in The Kind Worth Killing, it's kind of like a cat and mouse psychological thriller. This guy Ted meets this woman Miranda on a plane, and his wife is cheating on him, and he makes jokes about wanting Miranda's help to kill his wife. That's all you need to know, you know? I don't want to tell you more about it, but that's how it starts. It's multiple perspectives. I loved it. I read it for the first time 2 years ago, and I gave it 5 stars. I read it in one sitting, I think. I recently reread it last month because I knew I actually wanted to finally get to this one, because I found out that there is going to be a third one of these. This one is a green cover. That's definitely very green. You saw my green bookshelves. There's not as many green books out there as I thought. But I loved the first one, and I'm hoping to love this one just as much. I'm not sure exactly what this one is about and how it ties in. A private eye starts to follow a possibly adulterous husband, but little does he know that the twisted trail will lead him back to the woman who hired him. All right, I'm about 120 pages into The Kind Worth Saving. I finally hit part 2. I'm really liking it so far. Definitely not as much as the first one, but it's still very compulsively readable. So far what I've learned about the book is we follow 2 perspectives, a private investigator and a woman who hires him to follow her husband, who she thinks is cheating on her. And the private investigator point of view is present day, and the woman's point of view, at least so far, is pretty much from her past, from a summer she spent in Maine. What I love about Peter Swanson books is that a lot of them take place in Maine. I live in Maine, so I know a lot of the places he's talking about, so there's almost like a comfort level with that when reading about it, even though I'm reading about murders and thriller, but I really like reading about places I'm familiar with. My only problem so far is I feel like the inside flap almost ruins some of it, because the second paragraph I feel like is what happens at the end of part 1, and I was surprised by it, and I actually just went back and read that and saw that, and I was like, oh, I would have seen that coming then, and I'm really glad that I didn't see it coming. So I recommend just going into this book blind, more blind. Also, so green. Tell me this doesn't perfectly fulfill the prompt. I will update you guys possibly at the next part, or when I'm done, or I'll let you know.
Hey guys, so I finished The Kind Worth Saving by Peter Swanson, and I think I'm settling on like a 4-star for this book. It was really good. I really liked it. It just wasn't The Kind Worth Killing, you know? Like that was 5-star, top tier, chef's kiss magic. There were a few plot twists, but I didn't find it that unpredictable. And it's probably because I knew the characters from the previous book that I had a feeling of how this was going to end. But it was still really good. I would highly recommend this, especially if you've read and enjoyed The Kind Worth Killing. And this gives me some hope for Peter Swanson because this was really good. And so I've enjoyed both The Kind Worth Killing and Saving. I hated his book 9 Lives. That was one of my worst reads ever. And after that book, I kind of wanted to write Peter Swanson out of my life, but had to read the sequel to my favorite. I'll give him another chance. I'll read more books. I think there's actually going to be a third one of these coming out, I think in June, which is why I really wanted to get this one done too. And I'm definitely going to read that one, especially after liking the first 2 so much. So I'm really excited. I'm hoping to read that when it actually comes out. But overall, I really liked the 2 storylines that we followed and how it all tied together, and you know, the little bit of plot twists he had thrown in here. I really enjoyed it. I think he did a really great job with this. Along with 9 Lives, I've also read Every Vow You Break. I literally don't even remember the plot of that. So yeah, like I said, I definitely would recommend this if you enjoyed The Kind Worth Killing. If you haven't read either of those books, I recommend starting with that one. I think it's better anyway. And we'll see what he has in store for Kittner and Kimball in the third one. I'm excited for my next read. I don't know what I'm going to be reading, but we'll see. But this was a good way to start off the video, so I'm excited. I'm going to pick the next 2 prompts just because I would like to know what I'm reading for the next couple of days. So I'm just going to pick 2 at once, and then we're going to find what books I'm reading. One, 2. Let's see what they say. All right, the first one is read a book you received for your birthday. Perfect. Okay, so for my birthday this past year, not only did Tiara propose, also she took me to the bookstore and we did the thing, I don't know if you've seen it on TikTok, where you have 5 minutes to look around and then 2 minutes to get as many books as you can hold, and she bought all of the books that I could hold. All right, the second one that I picked, I guess technically the third one for this video, is read a book set in school/university. Ooh, okay. There's a few that come to mind, one of them being the Alex Michaelides book, The Maidens, that came out last year. I still haven't read that one, and that one's definitely dark academia vibes. It takes place at a college campus, I believe. Another one that comes to mind is They Never Learn. That one follows a college professor and takes place on her campus. Let me go look and see what else I have though, and I will be back. We're back with Nellie. Say hello, Nellie. Anything? All right, I found some options. So for the first one, for the book that I received for my birthday, I've actually proudly read most of the ones that I received. I got like 10 books I think I could carry, something like that. And at that time I had just read The Soulmate by Sally Hepworth, and I really liked it. I really like domestic thrillers. I pretty much give any domestic thriller 4 or 5 stars. I just love it. I don't know, something about a husband and wife fighting and you don't know who to trust. So I have these 2 books that I got for my birthday. They're both Sally Hepworth's. I have The Younger Wife and I have The Good Sister. I read the backs of both of them. This one, The Younger Wife, is about a new younger wife, as you can imagine, and the daughters are involved, and they think that the younger wife's after the money, that type of vibe. And then The Good Sister follows 2 sisters, and one of them can't get pregnant, so the other one's like, perfect, I'll have your baby for you. For some reason, this one sounds a little bit more interesting to me. A friend actually read this one and she really liked it. I think she gave it 4.5 stars. So I think I'm going to go for this one. This one, what also intrigued me is one of the main characters works at a library, and I love anything in books that has to do with books, whether that's libraries, publishing, editor, authors, you name it. If it has to do with books, I love it. I'm going to try this one, I think. And for the second prompt, which is read a book that takes place at a school or university, I decided to go with They Never Learn. I also had In My Dreams, I Hold a Knife, but I've already read that book. I loved it. I gave it 5 stars.
I decided against The Maidens because I'm reading The Fury, which is Alex Michaelides' other book, later this month for the Book Troop Book Club discussion, so I don't really want to read two of his books in the same month. I just don't really like to read from the same author back to back. And I've had this book for a few years now, and I've wanted to read it. It has a really badass female main character from what I hear. The little blurb says, a dynamic psychological thriller about two women who give bad men exactly what they deserve. What perfect book to read for Women's Month than They Never Learn? I've heard a lot of good reviews from this from people online. Yeah, like I said, I've been meaning to get to it, so let's see how it goes. So I'm going to start with The Good Sister. I'm going to try to read this one today, just all day today. And then I'm going to read, I'll probably start They Never Learn tomorrow morning. So yeah, let's see how this goes. I'm excited. So I finished The Good Sister by Sally Hepworth. Expected it to be a quick, thoughtless read, and that's exactly what it was. Don't really see myself remembering this plot, but I really enjoyed it. And it follows the perspective of two different sisters, Rose and Fern. And Rose's perspective is actually her journal entries, her diary entries. So it kind of reminds me of Verity in that sense a little bit. Fern has some mental disabilities and has a really close relationship with her sister because of it. And Rose is trying to get pregnant but can't. So Fern has the bright idea to try to get pregnant for her, to meet a man on her own and, do the deed and have a baby for Rose, without really telling Rose about it. So that's kind of the whole plot there. Sometimes if you're reading from multiple perspectives and they're the same gender and the same age, it can get a little bit confusing. But because one was, from Fern's perspective and the other one was what Rose was writing down, it was really easy to follow and distinguish which sister was which. Things go a little bit south, as you can imagine. With two sisters, you'd never really know what you're getting yourself into, so that's all I'll say. I liked the ending, I liked where it went. I didn't really find it that surprising or that much of a plot twist. I would probably give this anywhere from 3.5 to 4 stars, but I still really enjoyed it. I was really happy with how it ended. And I still plan to pick up more of Sally Hepworth's books. All right, little update for you guys. I'm about halfway through They Never Learn. I started it this morning and I'm flying through it. I'm loving it so far. It's probably my favorite of the video. I've seen people describe this character as female Dexter, and I completely agree with that. I love Dexter. I've seen the spin-off of it too, the new series that they have, and I love crime shows and crime books, and I love a morally gray main character. She's killing people, but she's killing bad people, so how bad is it really? The math is mathing, maybe. Anyway, really liking it so far. I feel like sometimes with books that have dual POVs, you want to read one more than the other, but I find myself wanting to read both of them equally, so that's why I feel like I'm really flying through it and wanting to get back to each character. I highly recommend it. So far, it is looking like it's going to be a 5-star read for me, but let's see. Can't go wrong with female vigilante shit. So I just finished They Never Learn by Lane Fargo, and I loved this. Definite 5-star for me, probably a new favorite. I've read 11 books so far this year, and I think the only book that rivals They Never Learn for me so far is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. This follows a college professor, and every year she finds a male person on the campus who she thinks is deserving to die because homegirl wants to murder someone. If it's gonna be someone, it might as well be a bad guy. You're also following the perspective of a shy college student and her navigating her way through her first semester of college. It all ties in, obviously, and I did not see it coming how it did tie in. I thought the author did it super well, and I think I did this earlier, but this book did such a good job capturing my attention. I could not decide which point of view I liked better. I kept going back and forth and wanting to catch up with that character. And I really liked the ending too. There were, a few twists and turns, nothing crazy, but enough to pique my interest. And I thought that the author just did a really good job with this entire story. And from start to finish, I really have no complaints. There were no slow spots. I was really happy with the ending, and I could tell that it was really well thought out. And it's a perfect feminist revenge thriller for Women's Month. So I highly recommend this one. Not only is my favorite of the video, it might be my favorite of the year so far. This is me looking through my fantasy, sci-fi, and other books that I don't tend to read, but I think I'm leaning more towards the sci-fi for this prompt. All right, I'm a decent way through Dark Matter at this point. Tiara's been talking about this book for probably over a year at this point. She read all 3 of Blake Crouch's sci-fi books, and she cannot stop thinking about this one. So I was very excited to get into it anyway. One of the things he just talked about was at what point is he still the same person if he makes different choices? Like, is he still the same person in all of these multiverses? Is he a different person? I don't know. I just like all of the different aspects of thinking about what makes you you. Also, my favorite episode of Family Guy is the multiverse episode. If you know, you know. I'm really liking this so far, and I don't read a lot of sci-fi, obviously. This was for the prompt of reading a book out of my comfort zone. And not only do I want to read Blake Crouch's other books, but I'm very open to other sci-fi type books. It's reminding me of Project Hail Mary so far, and how that character didn't really know what was going on. You were kind of figuring out what was going on with him as the story went on, because he had no clue what was happening. And I feel similar vibes from this, that you're like discovering things about the world with him. And I like that. I like that he's about as clueless as we are at this point. So yeah, I'm really excited. Like I said, I'm like 2/3 of the way into the book at this point, so I'm just picking up the house a little bit, and I'm hoping to finish this today, and that will be my last book for this video. So far, so freaking good. Hey guys, I'm finally getting a chance to update you. A couple days ago, I finished Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, and I really liked it. It felt like it was sci-fi, but not too heavily sci-fi, because he didn't know what was going on at all times either. So I'm not sure how much I said before, but this story follows a guy named Jason, and he's walking home from a bar one night, has a wife and son at home, and he's kidnapped and is asked, "Are you happy with your life?" And then he wakes up and he's still Jason, but in a different life. He's now a renowned scientist who has all of these awards and recognitions, and he's not married to this person. His son was never born, so he's pretty much trying to figure out what's going on the entire book, what's real, what's not real, and that's all I want to say. The fact that this book wasn't too heavily sci-fi made it easy to follow and easy for me to pick up and want to read.
sometimes when books have too much science in it, it's just not worth it. And, I'm trying to stop thinking about the science in my life. So that's why I read books. And he did good. He did good. So yeah, I definitely want to pick up more of Blake Crouch's books after this and more sci-fi in general. I think I would even be willing to pick up something higher sci-fi than this, just because of how much I enjoyed this. I would probably get this 4.5 stars. I'm still thinking about it, but I think I'm leaning towards 4 stars. I really liked it, but it's not an all-time favorite for me. It's something really different that I've read before, and definitely makes me want to pick up more sci-fi books. But I'm still a thriller person at heart, like, this was really good, made me think, but I love a cheesy domestic thriller and things like that. Like I said, I really enjoyed this book, and I look forward to picking up more of Blake Crouch's and more sci-fi books in the future. So that's it for this vlog. I read 4 books: The Kind Worth Saving for reading a book with green on the cover, The Good Sister for reading a book I bought for my birthday, They Never Learn for reading a book that takes place at a school or university, and Dark Matter for reading a book out of my comfort zone. So all super amazing, solid reads. They were all 4 or 5 star books, and that's such a successful reading week for me, so I'm really excited about that. So thank you to my partner Tiara for the amazing TBR jar and thus all of the prompts for today's video. This was a super successful vlog for my first reading vlog. I look forward to filming more and reading more and just all the content coming to you guys in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more content from Nook's Nook. Bye!